Hi, this is Eric Elder, and welcome to this episode of Bedtime Stories of Faith. Tonight I want to talk about facing pitfalls, because these great stories of faith, things that happen in faith in the Bible, things that happen in great faith in my life, they don't come without some pitfalls and things that you have to navigate around, work your way through. And tonight I want to talk about that because I have a number of people that I know of who have lost jobs, are facing some difficult things, very difficult situations in their life, some totally blindsiding them. And I just want to talk about that tonight. What happens when either you step out in faith and then you get blindsided, or you're just going along in life and you get blindsided? How do you navigate those pitfalls? The word pitfall means hidden or unexpected danger or difficulty. And so I want to help you just to navigate those, to foresee those, and then to help walk you through that. And I want to tell you two stories tonight to do that. Then I'll play a song for you, and I'd like to pray for you. So thanks for joining me, and we'll dive in here. This isn't a story I'm going to read. It's just a story I'm going to tell you. But I want to talk about two stories. One was I just mentioned about my piano, and I gave you an overview of my whole piano story, how I got this beautiful piano that was beyond the piano of my dreams. I had prayed for one, and I can't believe that I got it. That's a very condensed version because when I was in Dallas 2 weeks after I got there and had found the piano and some of the other things that happened there, I got into a terrible car crash. And I was okay physically. There was a lot of damage to the car. And it took us out of being able to get where we needed to go and do the things we needed to do. And it was really difficult for me. It was difficult for the other people that I ran into, and just one of those things at a light and turning. And anyway, not clear who was at fault, but it just happened, and it caused a big situation where I really needed to know that God was in that move to Dallas. I really needed to know that he was in all the things that were happening there. And the piano was a result that all came out of that story. But there were a number of things like that were difficult along the way. Then, when I told you about the Eastview story, I sort of gave you 3 nights of how I had felt that God was wanting me to apply for a job that didn't exist at Eastview. And then about a year later, the job was created, and I did apply, and I got it. And then our goal for that entire 2.5 years that we were thinking about that was to get to 25,000 viewers, which was about 25,000 times what it was at the time. So that seemed like a long way away. And then just a few weeks ago, we reached that on Easter Sunday with 25,066 viewers. And so I condensed that whole story, amazing story and powerful to me. But there were some pitfalls along the way there too. And in Dallas, it was a car crash when I went to work for the church there. At Eastview, it was a heart crash, actually 2 heart crashes. And my second day on the job, had a dear friendship that totally crashed. And it was extremely hard for me. And to the point where I just didn't know if I could go on, not even just with a job, but with everything. It was a hard thing. And I went into the office at the end of the day, and I just said, I don't know, God, how I can do this. And I just got on my knees and just said, God, you're going to have to give me the strength to come back again, and then you're going to have to give me the strength to start again and keep going every day. And every morning I would go into the office, and I would just get on my knees, and literally it's like Abraham Lincoln said, he often was driven to his knees because he had nowhere else to go. And that's just the way I felt. I just would walk into the office, I'd get behind my desk, and I'd just get on my knees and just put my face down and just say, God, you're going to have to help me get through this day, because I don't know how I'm going to do one more step, one more day. And I had several friends that really helped me work through that time, because it was difficult for me personally, emotionally, and it was like the car crash that I had in Dallas, but it was just my heart crash emotionally. And they said, Eric, don't make any decisions for 30 days. Just give yourself 30 days, because right now would be a terrible time to make a decision, and you're just getting started. But I thought, I'm just getting started. Now's the time to leave if I'm going to leave. But my friends really helped me through that and walked me through. And so I want to encourage you in that too. Make sure you have some friends around. Make sure you have other people speaking into your life, as well as just what you're feeling at the time. About 6 months later, though, I had a physical heart crash. I had a heart attack 6 months after I had started at Eastview. and had to have open heart surgery and a quadruple bypass, and that knocked me out for 3 months. I couldn't go back to the office, couldn't go to work, could barely get out of my bed, could barely breathe. It was difficult, and some complications that just made it very, very difficult for me. And I was just talking to one of the pastors at church last week, and he was saying, Eric, can you believe where you were just 1 year ago, after you'd had this surgery and you'd had all that that was going on, and you just didn't know if you could make it one more day. You didn't think you could come back. It just wasn't looking good at all. And that's the way exactly I felt. And not to exaggerate it at all, it was a truly just difficult time. And so between the emotional heart crash and the physical heart crash, I just didn't know that I could go on. And here I felt called to be at the church, felt called to help them reach the goal, and I just didn't think I could do it. But through prayer, through friends, through navigating that, and also not making decisions, just saying, God, I'm going to leave this up to you, I was able to come back. And now, here a year later, we've reached our goal, and I'm starting several new podcasts, and I just have energy again, and I'm ready to go again. And it's amazing what God can do. But you would think, is this the way it is in the Bible too? And it actually was. And here's just one story. I mean, there are a number of them where people had these pitfalls. And this one's from Elijah. And he had one of these most incredible stories where he was up against 450 prophets of Baal. And he was asking God to, pour down fire from heaven to light his offering on fire. And he told the 450 prophets of Baal to do the same and call on their gods. And Elijah even doused his pile of wood with water all over. And it was very, very unlikely that it would happen. But it actually happened. The other prophets of Baal, nothing happened. They danced, they cut themselves, they did everything that they could, and their gods didn't do anything. Elijah called down fire from heaven, and it came down. And it was a dramatic show. But here's what happened right after that. In chapter 19 of 1 Kings, in verse 3, it says, Elijah was afraid and ran for his life. When he came to Beersheba in Judah, he left his servant there, while he himself went a day's journey into the desert. He came to a broom tree, sat down under it, and prayed that he might die. Here's a quote from him. I have had enough, Lord, he said. Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors. Then he lay down under the tree and fell asleep. Now, this is one of those prayers that God never answered for Elijah. Not right then, he didn't. Elijah said, I'm done. Take my life, please. And God didn't answer it. He instead sent an angel. All at once, an angel touched him and said, get up and eat. He looked around, and there by his head was a cake of bread baked over hot coals and a jar of water. He ate and drank and lay down again. The angel of the Lord came back a second time and touched him and said, get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you. So he got up and ate and drank. Strengthened by that food, he traveled 40 days and 40 nights until he reached Horeb, the mountain of God. There he went into a cave and spent the night. And it was that time in the cave that God called him out of the cave and said he wanted to speak to him. And Elijah went out, and God spoke to him and told him what he needed to do next and what he could do next in a gentle whisper. And God is so gracious that way. Sometimes we just say, take my life, Lord, I'm done. I mentioned in a video that I recorded, and you can see on my YouTube channel at ericelder.com, about the Holy Spirit guiding Nicholas. And I mentioned in that video how during my heart surgery recovery, I just prayed to Jesus, and I just said, Jesus, I just wish I could go have a date with my wife, Lana, who had died, and could we please meet at her place? It was just I truly felt that way at the time, and now I'm just so glad to be here again. I'm glad to have energy back. And God sent several angels to give me food, to give me rest, to just say, Eric, you need your strength. We'll help you get your strength back. And they prayed, and they provided food and other help for me. So I was able to navigate that and come back out just really through God's help. And even up until my last day in the office at Eastview, before we had to all go home for the shelter-in-place order for the COVID virus, I was still, every single day for 20 months, I would go to work and I would get behind my desk and I'd just get on my knees and say, God, you're going to have to help me through this day. I can only do this with your help. And then at the end of the day, I would just get on my knees again before I'd leave the building and just say, God, thank you for helping me through another day. And it was not a matter of routine. It was a matter of absolute necessity. I just could only do it with God's help. There's a quote from the Benham brothers, these brothers who have been through some difficulties, and they said that a horse that is broken can pull the chariot for its master, but a horse that is unbroken is put out to pasture. And if you know anything about horses, and if you want to ride a horse, or if you want to use a horse, or have a horse pull something for you, that horse needs to be broken, meaning it needs to be able to follow your commands. And otherwise, it's just a wild horse, and it goes where it wants, and it does what it wants, and it might be fast, but it's not very helpful to you. And God does that with us sometimes. He allows us to be broken so that we can pull the chariot for the master. And if we're not broken, then it's a disaster. That's not what it said, but we get put out to pasture. And so sometimes we want to run away from brokenness. We want to run away from being hurt, or run away from these unexpected or unplanned dangers. But God says we can actually really embrace them when they come and just say, God, I don't like this. I don't want this, but God, please use this. And God never wastes our pain. He never wastes our pain, and he doesn't want you to do it either. So I just want to encourage you that if you run across some pitfall here, you get some unexpected news, you get laid off, you get some health report, and this happens to me from time to time, and more than I wish it did. And I have to do the same thing for myself and just say, God, I don't like this, I don't want this, but I pray that you would just help me through this too. And God has been so faithful in helping me through so many things that I can encourage you tonight too, that God can help you through. And sometimes it turns out where you get a piano that's beyond your dreams. Sometimes it works out where you get to the 25,000 that you were praying for and you felt God was calling you to. And many times you see God do a miracle in your life and the lives around you when you just lay down your life and just say, God, I just want to do what you want me to do. I don't want to be on my own course. I don't want to be pulling my own wagon, my own direction. Let me pull it for you. Let me do what you want. And so I'm going to pray after I sing this song that the Holy Spirit would just come into your life and would really help you, to guide you, to maneuver you, to position you, to help you navigate through and around and get over those difficult pitfalls in your life. And I know they're hugely serious, but I have a few words of encouragement for you after this song. I just want to sing a love song to God. It's a simple song called I Love You, Lord. Feel free to sing along if you'd like. So it just says, I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you. Oh, my soul, rejoice. Take joy, my King, in what you hear. May it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear. Before I pray, I just want to tell you that one thing that you can do, especially if you've been hurt terribly by something that's happened to you, is to try to forgive and to go through what's lost and go through what's left. And as you do this process, if you even just write it down on a paper, and whether it's hurt or whether it's just an unexpected pitfall, if you just list on the piece of paper, right at the top, what's lost, and just write down the things that you've lost as a result of this terrible pitfall. And you might not want to do this. I didn't want to do this after Lana died. This was suggested to me through the Grief Share program, and I just thought, no, I've lost way too much. My pages would be forever, and I don't want to even think about all that I've lost. It's too painful. But a few days later, I did it, and I just wrote down the things, and I just started with, I lost my wife, I lost my lover, I lost my best friend, I lost my helper, I lost, and I just went through the different things that I had lost. And then on another page, I wrote what's left, because I didn't lose everything. It felt like I did, but I didn't. I still had my kids, I still had health, I still had a job, I still had a ministry, still had friends. And there were several things on that list of what I had left. And it just helped put it in perspective, because sometimes we get so overwhelmed by the loss that we can't think straight. And so I just encourage you, take some time, write what's lost, write what's left, forgive what needs to be forgiven, and get up and keep going. Not trying to rush you through grief, not trying to rush you through loss, but don't let it paralyze you. Don't let it keep you down forever, because God still has things he wants to do with you and in you and through you. Let me pray for you. Father, I just love you. I just thank you for walking me through so many things and helping me see such incredible stories of faith that appear right before my eyes, Lord, at the proper time if we do not give up. God, I thank you too for walking me through the pitfalls that seem to accompany a lot of those stories, Lord. And just many great tragedies, God, but also many great victories. God, I pray for the person watching, if they've gone through a loss recently or something that's been debilitating for them, that even if it wasn't recent, Lord, I pray that you provide healing, you'd provide encouragement, you would just help them, Lord, right now. Lord, just as I even snap my fingers, God, I just pray that it would be that quick, that something would spark in their heart, that your faith would spark in their heart, and there would be a turnaround starting today, Lord. Whatever day they watch this, God, whether it's live now or later or down the road, Lord, I just pray that you would provide a turnaround for them by the spark of faith in their heart, Lord, and that they would be able to see the light again. They would be able to see that you have still things for them to do. God, I pray that you would give them strength. I pray that you would give them answers. Lord, show them the next step. God, they don't have to know the whole plan, although that would be helpful too, God, if you have that to show them. But God, if there's a next step, what's the next right thing they need to do, God? I pray you'd show that to them. Help them take that next right step, God, and just help them to know the place of seeing the pain would pass. And I pray they could see it just as if in their rearview mirror, Lord, and just with even a pleasantness somehow, Lord, at the good memories and the good things they have left. God, I just love you so much, and I just pray, Lord, just